Hello YouTube, this is Balaam Age again, and we're still enjoying the shit out of PoE 2, but we're gonna have some helpful information today. A lot of people have been struggling with pathofexile.com/trade, or /trade2, I guess in this case, because it doesn't have a lot of the things that the original Path of Exile trade has. We can still do everything, but there's some confusion on how to do them. And also, there's just a lot of new players. So people don't know about pseudo searches, people don't know about count searches, people don't know about like all sorts of things. So we're gonna go through that and have like a quick intro tutorial to trade. So let's jump into it. All right, so here is our trade website, pathofexile.com/trade2. So we're going to start with what is different or missing in this trade website from Path of Exile 1's. So I'm going to use a little example. As an example, we're just after a belt with the most amount of resistance and a life roll. In Path of Exile 1, this is Path of Exile 1's trade, we would just be able to say belt, life, and then total res, and that is all we would need. And we would just be able to say I want 80 life. We could even scroll down the bottom and just say, hey, I don't want to pay more than 20 chaos, and then we're able to use this pseudo res node right here to just click on it and be like, haha, there is the cheapest or the best belts we can get within our price budget. Now that's great. That's fantastic. We love that. Super easy to gear. Unfortunately, pathofexile.com/trade2 doesn't have any pseudos. There are no total res. When you look for life, it's now life. It's now to maximum life, and it now doesn't include the implicits on any piece of gear either. So you have to include both things. For belts specifically, there's no implicit, so that's fine. So we can go belt, I want at least 80 life. We are pricing in exalts right now. This could change at any point, but let's just say we're after 20. The problem now is we can't use total res. So if we're after just the generic best piece of gear or most amount of resistance we can get, we can't do that. So it becomes significantly more annoying. Instead, we have to come down to weighted sum. And now we have to go cold resistance, lightning resistance, fire resistance, all resistance, and chaos resistance. And then we have to set them all at weights, which I would set all of these at 1. Perhaps you value chaos res a bit higher, so we put that at 1.5. All elemental resistance is worth 3 because it's only registering the actual explicit mod. So 1 all res would just be worth 1 value, but it's actually giving me a cold, lightning, and fire res roll, so I'm going to put it as worth 3, right? And then you'll find it does the exact same thing, except with a sum. That pseudo total is now there. So now I can click on that, find the best belt that I've got with 80 life on it, and as much resistance as I can get within the budget that I set, which you could set this to anything. You'd be like, man, I only have 3 exalts total to get the best belt that I can. Well, here it is. Here's the best belt you can get. Now, we can go one step further than this and we can say, hey, I want the best belt that I can possibly get, but it has to have at least 20 cold resistance. So what I'm going to do is I put an and statement in. So we're going to say and 20 cold res. You could also have just put it in here. Could also have just gone here for guaranteeds, but this can work for anything. So we'll do this. And gold res of at least 20. This doesn't conflict with our weighted sum. All it does is guarantee that the only belts I'm looking at will have the cold res roll. Now I can do sort by and still find the best deals. Problem is, suffixes, at least in as my experience goes so far, super into stats as well. Absolutely desperate for stats. Almost as much as I am res. So suddenly, I'm actually after strength and int in my build as well. And I value them just as much. And this all looks nice and easy. Now I can look for the highest amount of useful suffixes. Now I'm seeing a good strength roll and the cold res roll I guaranteed at a reasonable price, right? This gets a lot worse when we start to look for rings, because when I hit this button now on rings, I am only seeing rings that have a cold resistance suffix. So it's not guaranteeing me all of the cold res implicit rings, and it is also not taking into account any of the prefixes for the total here. So unfortunately, the search now gets worse, because now I have to say cold res implicit, fire res implicit, lightning res implicit, all res implicit, and then strength implicit, and then int implicit, and then those are the only stats I'm looking for. So we go 1 1 1 3 1 1. Oh, actually chaos implicit, we were after that as well. We value chaos res a little bit higher. Now this becomes a pain in the ass. Luckily, two things. One, the TFT trade extension still works on this website, so if anybody is using that, fantastic. Add a nice weighted sum. What I did, and what I will provide, is a link to just the weighted sum search. Now, all this is every resistance and every stat equally weighted in all of their resistance and implicit values. So what you have to do is go, oh, actually, I don't necessarily want dex in my build. I'm just going to untick those two dex builds. And then you're just going to hit add stat group and look for whatever it is you're looking for. Let's say I'm looking for that life belt. So now all you have to do is hit life and belt and hit search. And now you're looking through, and now you can organize by the weight. And all that happens is what I'm going to do, and what I'm suggesting everybody does, is basically just bookmark this weighted sum search, because it is going to be used for practically everything until they introduce all the pseudos again. There's no other way for us to do this except this long convoluted set of bullshit, but it gives us the same pseudo res that we could get by just typing all resistance or all stats or whatever, all the pseudos that work on pathofexile.com/trade. So this has thrown a lot of PoE players for a loop. I've had a lot of people, when I've done this on stream, have been like, holy crap, that works, please link that to me. So I thought we'd go through how it's made and then also just provide a link to it. Now, on top of this, a few trade tools are starting to come out. They're like in little beta versions right now. I expect probably within a day we'll have some functioning and ready to publish trade tools, trade macros, those sort of things. So there will be a video on that, hopefully tomorrow, if not probably the day after. So hit subscribe if you don't want to miss out on those. something interact with the video because it's good for the algorithm. That is all I have for this one, and I will see everybody next time. Goodbye.